I've been amazed at the lack of response that has come forth from the two videos that our Creator had me post last week on tithes and offerings and on the cry to arms. I've been amazed at the continued rebellion of most to what He is restoring and what He is instructing. What is it going to take to get you to shout? What is it going to take to get those of you who are full of pride to step down off of your high horses? Can you really be that stiff-necked to continue to reject what He is saying with all of the proof that He's given us in His Word? I realize that not even 50 people have watched the tithes and offerings video, and not quite 70 have watched the video on the cry to arms. But how can nearly every one of the 50 to 70 people that have watched them still reject His charge to cry aloud His truth? How can this be? His word to do so is yet another irrefutable sign in His word as to where we're at in time. If just 50 people would begin to shout, the truth would begin to be broadcasted and the shout would begin to grow like a mustard seed. Has there ever been anyone else who has brought forth even a form of this command before in lieu of the prophecy in Malachi 3 that I spoke of? How can this command not be from our Creator? Please write me and tell me if someone else has ever made this declaration before, because I have never heard of it. This command falls right in line with the other prophecies that are being fulfilled in regards to what are the odds that this has not happened until now? What are the odds that no one else has brought forth this command before if it had not been reserved until this time? You guys must think I must have quite the imagination. And you must think that I'm able to supersede our Creator's word. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about the offering of righteousness that our Creator has declared at this time. He is commanding that those who will come to Him raise up to Him an offering of righteousness. This command is outlined in Malachi 3 and it is defined in other prophecies. Of course, we know that Satan's false religions in Christianity and Judaism love to use verses like verses 8 and 9 in Malachi 3 in order to line their pockets and get rich from the tithes and offerings. We read these verses in Malachi 3, verse 8. Will a man steal from Elohim? Yet you have stolen from me, he says. But you say, how have we stolen from you, Elohim? His answer, in tithes and offerings. Therefore I will curse you with a bitter curse, because all of the people, they have stolen from me. These religious impostors of the day have used these verses to bring the tithes and the offerings into their storehouses, but there is a problem with them having done this. These verses were meant for a specific time, and this specific time is revealed in the preceding verses. This is a prophecy for the time of the end when His messenger would be sent forth to restore the tithes and offerings. In the time leading up to this, Yahweh is clear that all have stolen from Him. Verse 9 says this plainly. He is saying that man was to reach a point in time that all of which they had offered up to Him was not to Him. The tithes and offerings of men have been offered up in recent years in vain. Therefore, all have stolen from Him by not offering them up to do His service. It's what they were for. They were to be given to the Levites to do His service, but they have not been. But since they have not been offered up to do His service, the whole world has stolen from Him. The whole world went away from His truth, and they have not offered up to Him as they were commanded. This falls right in line with prophecies like Revelations 12:9, where it says, and the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Satan is allowed to deceive us when we leave our Creator's protection. The world was to come to a point when all would go astray and be deceived by Satan, because all would turn from their Creator's protective wings. I know that many of you do not want to believe this, and you think that you are good to go with your Creator and your different false beliefs. But measure yourself against His measuring rod that He has given us, and see if you stand with His truth. You do not. His word testifies that you are deceived, and His word testifies that all would go astray. So you shouldn't marvel at this. In Psalms, one of these places is in Psalms 14. Verse 2, Yahweh looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that are wise to pursue him, to chase after his truth. And he says they have all turned away and are together in corruption. There is none that does good, not even one. Is there no knowledge? All of the people do eat iniquity as they eat bread, and do not call upon Yahweh. He says elsewhere, his people perish because of lack of knowledge. Why is this so hard to believe? It is because you are self-righteous. You say, no, not me, I'm not deceived. Or you say, hear this all the time, surely all of Christianity cannot be deceived. Yet you have no problem believing that the billions in other religions are deceived. It is just that it can't be you say. Don't you think that they think the same things towards you and your beliefs? We should not marvel that the whole world became deceived. We turned away from his instructions. This was prophesied to happen, so how is it hard to understand? What do you think happens when you turn from the master potter's instructions? Do you think that you can stay on his narrow path without his roadmap? But there is a very small flock that he has called back to him in these last days to finish off his temple, but they are scattered. And now his temple is built, and he is calling a people to be delivered by him into a new era of time. If you read on in this psalm, David speaks of this. If you don't think that this psalm applies to right now, then my Father is not going to be able to call you, because you will not listen to his call, because you think that you're already good with him. Believe in your lies. You are too full of pride, and you are too stiff-necked to even consider that you might be wrong. The last verse of this psalms read, verse 7, who will give to Zion? Yahweh will deliver Israel when they turn back from the captivity, and the people of Jacob will rejoice, and Israel will be glad. He plans to deliver those who will turn from the captivity. The captivity is Mystery Babylon. It is the religious confusion of Satan's perversions of his truth. He has sent me to cry out to you and to bear witness to his truth. All of this was prophesied to happen as well, just as the coming second Exodus has been prophesied to happen. And this all ties in with the offering of righteousness that he is crying out for you to make to him at this time. This will be a sweet-smelling savor to him if you offer up to him what he's asking you to do. In just a few days is his appointed time that is to be a memento of acclamation, or I refer to it as a memorial of shoutings. People erroneously call this the Feast of Trumpets. I've spoken on this recently in the 7th month High Days Part 1. This high day was to be a memorial of his past deliverances of Israel and the times that they shouted, and to point us to the days that we live in when his battle cry is to go out. This day of shouting is symbolism for the shout that we are to make at this time. It's what it was to point to. And all of his high days pointed to his plan. How will people turn back from Babylon if there are not a people that are hearing the truth, shouting his battle cry for them to hear? The shout will magnify, but it has to start with those who begin to hear. Are you that big of a coward that you have to wait for somebody next to you to shout? Or are you that rebellious that you want to shout your own warning and your own truth? That's actually what most are doing that are listening. Part of the Ezekiel 24 sign that has gone out from his mouth includes us not covering our lips. He has spoken that this means that we are to cry aloud, we're to shout. We have the record of the walls of Jericho coming down when Israel shouted after the trumpet sounded. And I've spoken, the trumpets have already begun to sound. I have spoken that this is symbolic of the walls of darkness coming down at this time. We have the account of Gideon and their torches that were hid under the pitchers, and their trumpets and their shout. They broke the pitchers and cried aloud the sword of Yahweh in Gideon when they blew the trumpets. Gideon was bearing the sword of Elohim as it has been given to Zerubbabel this day to bear. I have said that their torches are representative of our lights shining brightly at this time, burning brightly with his oil, which is his 7 spirits. Go and buy his oil and stop eating the bread of men so that his light can shine through you. Most of you know that the sword is representative of his word, which is the truth that will deliver those who turn to it, including each of you. You're going to have to turn to his truth, and that means all of it. Stop holding on to your lies. I have been sent bearing his sword. I marvel at how I have witnessed how so many have rejected this in spite of the proof in his word that he has sent me. There have been people who have written me and said that they agree with everything that I have spoken, and even have said that they know that I'm his prophet. Yet when I have told them to cry out with me, they have turned on me. It is amazing how they will not accept the truth unless they can put their own 2 cents in with it. It is pride run wild. A few days ago, a man said to me, I agree with everything that you have said. Your battle cry video was all confirmation as to what I have been feeling. He also said, you have blessed me more than you can imagine. Because he's been listening for a while now. This man had, and of course it ain't me blessing him, it's the truth has been blessing him. It's exciting to realize what's being restored. This man had also spoken that he can see that I am our Creator's prophet, but he could not handle the correction when I told him that his focus on the darkness was not focusing on the light like we need to. I told him that his offering that he was putting forth was not in agreement with the charge that our Creator is putting forth for us to put forth. And even though he knew without any doubt that I have been raised up to be a prophet, his Creator's charge sent him into a tailspin. If he couldn't do it his way, he just that's what people do. They're like little spoiled children. They just hold their breath, get all mad. Like, oh, you mean I can't do it my way? This man wrote back on a rant about how now I'm not Yahweh's servant, and now he came forth with his twist on why he now thinks I am wrong about this and wrong about that. And it's just like everything that he'd already accepted that he knew was true, he just turned on. Just the day before, he openly agreed with everything that I had said according to his own words. And this is sad, and I keep witnessing this type of thing over and over again. Everybody thinks that their own offerings are righteousness to our Creator, even though his word spells out that they are a stench to him. I'm amazed at the switch that people can have in their minds when they are told that they are wrong. I've witnessed some who have watched every video, or at least they say they have, and they are in total agreement, and they're like, wow, this has to be from Elohim. And they acknowledge I'm his prophet, and even many of them acknowledge that I'm his witness. But then I tell them to take down their false teachings, or to take down their distractions to the truth that is going out, and to shout with me. And when I do, they turn on me in a nanosecond and produce videos on how I'm a false prophet, or even though just the day before they were excited to come in contact with his prophet. Even before minutes, I've had phone conversations with one. In the phone conversation, they're like, wow, we've never been taught this stuff before, and this is exciting. And I told them to take down their garbage, and they just went berserk. Is this crazy? They would rather continue to steal from their Creator than admit that they have been deceived and that they are wrong. They would rather return to their vomit than keep coming to the light at the cost of having a man tell them that they're wrong, even though they have previously acknowledged that this man was sent from Elohim. And what am I telling each of you to do anyway by taking down what's not from him? I'm telling you to cry aloud his truth that he is restoring. The truth was lost. It's being restored. How should this be something to upset you? It's unbelievable. I literally shake my head after I get these rebellions back at me, and it's been going on for quite some time. These men that I speak of acknowledged it was his truth, yet it was still too much for them because they could not admit that they did not have the truth themselves. Now, they can admit part of it. They can say, oh yeah, I was wrong about this and that, but there was something that Satan still had a hold on them that they just couldn't handle, and it's crazy. I'm not going to go through examples, but with all of these I'm talking about today, it is literally because I told them to take down their previous stuff. If they already admitted they didn't have the truth, why would that be a difficult thing to do? I don't know. He wants his truth to go out to the world as an offering of righteousness to him. He's restoring it for this to happen. the call of people to live into a new era of time. The rebellious just don't get that their offerings are a stench in his nostrils. They just can't accept that what they've been doing for him has not been serving him. This is crazy to see happen. Do all of you who are refusing to shout with me really think that you know better than your Creator? He says that all have stolen from him. This includes each of you, just as it included me. His word testifies that the man I just referred to is in error. It testifies that his focus and his teachings on the darkness are not in line with our Creator's will. But this man's pride was too much. You can go to his channel. I'm not going to give you his channel name because it's not about him. It's not about me either. But, people like this have lots of views. They look at me. They want to be on the stage. He did not want to be told that he was wrong, even by someone that the day before, or even minutes before he received the correction, that he knew without any doubt in his mind, according to his own words, that I was his prophet. Couldn't handle the correction even from a prophet. Amazing, just amazing. And I didn't make myself a prophet. I'm nobody. Apart from Elohim putting his word in my mouth, I'm nothing. This man could not admit that he was wrong, so he turned away from what was being given to him. And that's crazy. I want to add one more thing. This man, along with every other situation that has happened like him, insists that he is representing the light as well, and therefore they're representing the truth, they say. But in addition to his absorption with the darkness that I was trying to talk to him about, I looked at his recommended channels. At the top of the list, below recommending his backup channel, was a recommending link to a channel that is the main cohort to one of the false witnesses who proclaims the Saturday Sabbath. The Saturday Sabbath is outright rebellion to our Creator, so how is this representing the light? The light is the truth. It is not lies. No lie is of the truth. This is why our Creator wants those who will come to Him all on one accord, shouting His truth together. And I'll get to it in a minute here. This is why He has it going through one stone. He has placed His word in one stone just as He said He would. Why not believe Him on this? If you want to continue to go tell the world what you think His truth is when He has a prophet on the ground declaring His truth, go right ahead. You will be purged out with the rest of the rebellious hearts who will not hearken to Him. And I see this over and over again, as I said. Many are writing me and saying, wow, this is incredible. The truth that is being restored is awesome. I've never heard anything like this before. And they're excited. Yet they go on and continue to represent the swill, and they will not shout with their Creator in what He is restoring. Why is this? So when I say that the whole world is in captivity except the very small flock who was already drug out of it, should any of you marvel when you yourselves will not even come all of the way out of the darkness and join forces with His light? Folks, it's past time for you to get off your high horses and admit that you have been deceived and offer up your Creator an offering of righteousness to Him and cry out to Him for Him to deliver you. And cry out His truth so other people can hear it and they can be delivered. He has even told you what the offering is to be, so you don't have any guesswork. If you want to continue to steal from Him, you have less than 300 days maximum to live. And if you are about ready to find out what 5 months of torment is all about as well. His truth will go out without you anyway, but He is crying out for you to cry aloud His truth that He is restoring. I'll share with you yet another example in Scripture that says we are to shout in the last days. In Zephaniah chapter 1, the great day of Yehweh is near. It is near. Vehemently make haste the thunder of the day of Yehweh. The mighty men will war bitterly. This day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and affliction, a day of devastation and desolation, a day of darkness and misfortune, a day of thunderclouds and gloom, a day of trumpets and shouts against the fenced cities, against the high towers. The Hebrew word for shout used here in this is the same word that I have been using in other examples that are found in the other scriptures I've talked about. It means a shout or an acclamation. Is this not what I've been saying about shouting the truth so that the walls of darkness come tumbling down? We're to proclaim the day of His vengeance. It has been given. Praise be to His name for sending forth His warning so that people can return to Him. It's exciting that He's going to continue to build His family. And what are you doing with his warning? Folks, I have no idea how you could be so stiff-necked, how you could just sit back with something that's being given in lieu of people about ready to perish. What will you say to your neighbor when they find out that you had the truth given to you, but you sat on it about this wrath coming, about how soon it's going to be in here, and what they have to do to turn from it? How is that love? How can you continue to not believe him and the proof he's given that this is real and it's happening? Next verse, and I will bring distress upon men, that they will walk like blind men, because they have sinned against Yahweh, and their blood will be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Do you think that you are not sinning against him by rebelling to what he is restoring and stealing from him? Why do you think that these verses do not apply to you? Maybe you think that you can reject his truth and offer up to him as you see fit, and you'll be okay. You will soon find out differently. Verse 18, neither their silver nor their gold will be able to deliver them in the day of Yahweh's wrath. All of the land will be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, because he will surely make haste destruction of all that remain in the land. If your pride is too much to accept that you have been deceived, then you will not be able to hear his battle cry, and that day will come upon you as a thief in the night. I am just amazed at how stiff-necked most of you are. And I'm amazed that his word is not good enough for you. And I'm amazed at how you have no shame and you don't even love the people enough to warn them. And those of you who think that you are warning them and you are not pointing them to the truth that will deliver them, how is this warning them? And those of you who are warning them but you are pointing them to what you say is true, shame on you. Does his word testify to you? Does his word proclaim you as a prophet? I'm not talking, it's not about me, folks. I'm just angry that you're so full of pride that you lift yourself up to be his servant, yet his word testifies against you. I can go to each one of your channels, like the man I just mentioned, his top recommended channel, somebody that is best friends with one of the false prophets that's going to come on the scene who's talking about you have to obey a Saturday Sabbath. How is that turning people to the truth? I cannot believe your arrogance. You have all come in your own name, and if you're out there doing your own thing, the ones that I am speaking to now know that I am speaking to them because they have heard the prophecies that he has given to prove that he has sent me, but their pride is consuming them. Well, buckle up. I'm about ready to find his wrath. But I'm trying to expose these people. There's so many of them now to even talk without talking about them by name. Just any of them. I mean, if they're not reproducing the truth that's being given through his servant, flee from them. For the rest of you listening to this, flee from listening to these ravening wolves. They do like Saul of Tarsus did, and they listen to the truth from their Creator's servants, and then they hijack it and mix in their lies. This is how Saul's writings came on the scene. He mixed in the truth that were coming from the true apostles. I am telling you that no lie is of the truth. You can't mix in lies and with truth and have it be the truth. These men I speak of are wicked and evil men, and they have crept into the truth that our Creator is restoring, but they have rebellious hearts. One of them I know of is even covering his head. I'm sorry for teaching him that, because it's just a blasphemous head covering that he's wearing. Like I said, what they are doing is no different than what Saul of Tarsus did, mixing in the truth with their lies. Now maybe you can see why our Creator is restoring his truth through one stone. Makes it very simple. You don't have to go searching the internet to find out who else has the truth. If you want the truth, be in agreement with the truth that he's given. And it is not from me. His word testifies to this. This way everyone who believes his word can turn to his one stone for what he's restoring. And sadly, most of you cannot see this, and you think that these wolves have something to offer you, so you keep listening to them. And they do have something to offer you. It's called a path to the lake of fire. I suggest that you flee from the bread of men and from these evil men and start offering up the offering that your Creator has proclaimed and put before you, and join in with his servant in the acclamation of the day of his vengeance and the shout of the truth that he is restoring.